With the Chroncast, the answer to the question, what if ADHD was a Canucks podcast? As always, I'm your host, editor, and head writer at Canucks Chronicles, and club reporter at Altitude FC, Alex Rickman. Joining me as always from the Hockey News, Kaja Antic. Kaja, how's it going this week?
It's going pretty good. Alex, how are you? Is what I would say if I was a human being, but I had a joke and I completely ruined the punchline by starting with human being there. So let's just get into talking about the Canucks, and I'm gonna go scream in a corner now.
All right, so the Canucks fall last night 4-2 to the Dallas Stars.
It's going so well. Oh god. Anyway.
Lost last night to the Dallas Stars in what was one of the more interesting games, I would say, from the Canucks this season. It was odd because the two games prior to this, both times the Canucks were heavily outshot, but managed to get a result in one of them, whereas the game against the Florida Panthers, they were unable to get that result. This time the Canucks pretty heavily outshot Dallas, just on the one hand kind of got Jake Ottinger and led in some inopportune goals off of some shaky team defense. It was weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a game of all time. They definitely had their opportunities. The bounces, honestly, just weren't going their way, and that's pretty much all you could say. Because Jake Ottinger is a very good goaltender. My mom was also very impressed with Mikko Rantanen, with his late goal, but yeah, that's about all I can say. She was like, she also liked Jake Ottinger's performance, and then I told her that he was American. She was like, "Oh, so there's that." Because if you don't know, Canada has no good goalies. I don't have another point. Isn't he banned from being on the national team because the Vegas management hates him for leaving?
I heard that
somewhere.
I don't really know how any of this works. Hockey Canada politics are just
my
their
lawyers
own world.
advised me not to comment.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of, in addition to that game against Dallas, there were two games ahead of that, capping off the Canucks road trip against the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers, which again, two wild games. The one against Tampa Bay coming home with the the 6-2 win, whereas a 8-5 loss to the Florida Panthers in Miami. I don't know what this team is, apart from not very good.
It's mid.
Just... Mid might be generous right now, given they're currently 28th in the league, but it's just...
No. Like, I'm not saying they're not a bad team in the standards that, like, the Flames are a bad team, but they're not a good team in the way that, like, Dallas is a good team. Some of the games, you could argue, bounces just weren't going their way. Some of the games, they just gave up. And honestly, I think all of the losses should be put on the shoulders of Evander Kane. But that's also just my opinion. I would say, yeah, they're painfully mid. Like, I also don't think you should be counting on the standings league-wide, because there is a huge discrepancy, I would say, currently, because, like, there are a lot of teams that have good starts and then fall off, a la the Montreal Canadiens right now. So, things can always change. But yeah, the Canucks are painfully mid, I'd say. And also, I will also comment, I saw some people talking about how Jiri Patera's his first start ever with the Canucks, his first start in the NHL since December 2023, was a bad performance. Florida had so many shots on net. Like, I need to... Give me a second here. I'm going to look up how many shots. They had 41 shots.
Yeah.
The Canucks had 15. One, that's not giving your goaltender enough support. Two, he was in a goaltending battle against Sergei Bobrovsky, who, mind you, won a Vezina. And also, like, back-to-back Stanley Cups, had 5 goals on 15 shots compared to 8 on 41. Like, yeah, you can look at the stat line on, oh yeah, well, the 8 goals scored, he let in 7. The Canucks, the highest shots they got per period were 6. That is 5 less than what Florida did. Yeah, they scored 2 goals in the first period. Whoop-de-doo. You still couldn't come back and you couldn't hold off in order to win the game. Elias Pettersson had a great game that night. But yeah, Yuri Patera's save percentage, 825. Sergei Bobrovsky's, 667. A third of the shots the Canucks put on net went in. I don't know if that says something about the goaltender or if that says something that the Canucks should have been pushing more. But yeah, that's a beer league stat line. And you guys are calling Patera the bad goalie in that situation. I think his team did not support him enough. I am a goalie defender through and through, so that's just my take. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, It's interesting because I do think, on the one hand, Patera was absolutely not given a chance to succeed with some of the chances that the Canucks were giving up that night, with the amount of shots that he had to face, and with the quality of a lot of those shots, where they were coming from on the ice, and how wide open Florida's players were. On the other hand, it did kind of feel like on some of those, if you had, especially if you had someone like Thatcher Demko, but even if you had Kevin Lankinen or someone in net, you might have been able to get a save on a couple of them. But at the same time, like, Patera is supposed to be this organization's 4th string goalie.
Yeah.
And we've had to throw him in on the second night of a back-to-back. He didn't help us win that game, but he didn't lose us the game either. Like, that was a whole team effort towards not coming away with the result.
Like, okay, you can say, yeah, he getting thrown in there, he didn't exactly win us the game either. And there are some shots that, Lankinen would have stopped, Demko would have stopped. Let's just talk about the Canucks goaltender situation right now. And this is going to go into Abbotsford as well. Like, I just wrote a piece for the Hockey News covering Aku Koskinvuo. Had his first AHL win in his first AHL start. Abbotsford broke an 11-game losing streak. They got their first win at home. He is their 6th goalie that they've played. And at that point was 16 games into the season. And that's just for Abbotsford, because Tolopilo was here. Let me just pull that article up, because I wrote it recently, so it's going to be there. Abbotsford. Okay. Koskinvuo is the 6th goalie to be used by the Canucks this season, the 3rd netminder debut in just over a month into the AHL season. Tolopilo left the home opener. He's still injured. Yuri Patera is the most experienced AHL goalie, so that's why he's the 4th string. He's been continually called up to assist Kevin Lankinen because of the perennially injured Thatcher Demko. And Tolopilo also injured. Ty Young is the one who's basically the main backstop right now, and it's his first full year. I think he played 11 games or something like that. He was mainly called up because Patera missed a lot of last year. He was mainly called up when She Loves was in Vancouver. And Young even left a game early in Colorado when and the Canucks had to use an e-bug against the league-leading Colorado Eagles. And then Young's tandem mate from Kalamazoo, Jonathan Lemieux, also played for a couple games. He's back in the ECHL now. But yeah, at the time of writing, the Canucks have played 16 games, using a new goalie every 2.67 games on average. And that's Abbotsford. Granted, the Vancouver Canucks have only used 3 goalies, but one of those is injured and is always injured, and that's a whole other thing. Once Kevin Lankinen, who is good, but he's not an NHL starter. He's a good replacement, but not a replacement for Thatcher Demko if he's going to get injured every 5 seconds. And Yuri Patera, who's played 1 game and is mostly an AHL goalie. Yeah, it's not a good situation for the Canucks right now.
No.
To put it lightly. Like,
no,
and it's not like you can call up Medvedev. He's 18.
Yeah.
Like, that's a child.
He's busy doing homework.
No, literally.
Yeah. And just going back to an earlier point about the standings not being too indicative of, at this point in the season, what a team is really like. I do agree with the general sentiment, because right now you have teams like, Montreal, who were on a tear at one point but have slipped. Meanwhile, you have teams like, Edmonton in the bottom half of the standings right now, who, as much as I hate to admit it, do have one of the best rosters in the NHL. The thing is, a lot of the teams that have the slow starts who bounce back have the talent on their roster to bounce back. It's where they're severely underperforming their talent level. When I look at this Canucks roster, even with the injuries, I don't know that they have the talent level to be that much better. Like, they'll get better, but I don't see them getting so much better where you could even put them into the category of not bad. It just, this team, the way they play seems so fundamentally broken to me that I don't see this team as anything more than a bad team.
I will also say 9 points separates from second to 28th, which is the Canucks are in. 9 points separates that. Yeah. So there's really just a lot of ties going on in the middle of the pack. There's also, you mentioned teams like bouncing back later on in the season. There's also teams that are good at the moment, but what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Like, there are teams up at the top here that could realistically fall off. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting time. The Canucks stat line 9-11-2. Yep. And my father keeps sending me pictures. And so my phone keeps going off. So Tony DeAngelo's still playing.
Where is he now?
He's still with the Islanders. I thought they kicked him out. They should have. He's not good.
Anyway. Yeah.
Imagine getting punched in the face by your teammate. Like, bro. Anyway.
Yeah, few bigger updates as well since last game. We'll start with one that we kind of talked about on last week's show because it wasn't official yet, but it seemed like likely news. David Kampf is now a Vancouver Canuck, has played 2 games on this team. We're saved. Everything's fixed. We have David Kampf now. No, I mean, his first couple games, I would say, on the one hand, he's David Kampf. What did we expect to be getting? Like, with all due respect, he's kind of a nothing player beyond what he should be bringing to the penalty kill and kind of your depth and winning faceoffs. On the other hand, his first 2 games, he's really struggled to do even that. He's kind of been a mix of invisible and bad throughout 2 games, so I'm not 100% sure what's going on here.
I haven't really noticed him personally. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Probably not a good thing for a forward. It's a good thing for a defenseman to not notice. It's a bad thing for a forward to not notice. Not be noticeable. That's my opinion. Yeah, I don't know. What? Yeah, David Kampf hasn't really done anything. Am I shocked? No. No, he's just a guy. Yeah. There's not really anything more to it. He's kind of just there. But you know what? At least he knows how to backtrack, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like, my one kind of thought process is maybe if you get him going again, he's the kind of guy you could flip at the deadline for something to a team in the playoffs looking for a 4C, but even then, it just feels like... It feels like it was kind of a nothing addition from the beginning, and it's been taking away minutes from younger players who could potentially do more now. So, yeah, I don't know. This feels like it would have made more sense if we had a hope in hell of actually being a playoff team this season, because then it's at least a gamble where you're like, okay, he's the kind of guy who, if he gets going, can help you potentially lock some of that down and get a little better. But with the position we're in, it's just like, why?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So, couple more updates. These ones coming courtesy of a couple of insiders. We'll start with one from Chris Johnson that came out the other day. It appears the Canucks have currently not shown any inclination towards signing pending UFA Kiefer Sherwood. So, been a lot of debate in recent weeks among the market as to what to do with Sherwood next season. Obviously, been fantastic through the start of this season. Probably our best forward so far consistently. One of our best last year as well. On the other hand, it feels like we've feels like the approach of this front office has been very much like the example I used, Dakota Joshua, where they talked about how in free agency, when Joshua's contract was coming up, they wanted to try to find the next Dakota Joshua. And they did in Kiefer Sherwood. But then they also re-signed Joshua to a contract they ended up regretting and having to trade out. So to me, it feels like they should learn from that and probably part with Sherwood in a trade while they can get something for him. But what do you think here?
I don't have really any thoughts. I'm not a I don't have a brain right now. I'm not a GM. I would say trading the player that really was the only player to care at the start of the season probably isn't a good thing.
Yep.
But if that's your only option, how about you just disband the team, pull a Valor football, and give all the players to Abbotsford and let Manny Malhotra, who's an actual good coach, deal with it. I don't know. Parking's cheaper at the Abbey Center anyway, so there's that.
Parking's cheaper just about anywhere
sucks,
in downtown.
Though. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, I think
Calgary Zoo.
Good to know. I feel like, again, if this team was in a different position, I could see the argument towards re-signing a player like Sherwood. On the other hand, I'm very much in team we need a rebuild right now. So my logic is that we should part with expiring contracts, get assets for the future. However, I also worry that if we were to trade him, especially with some quotes we've heard recently, I don't know that they would be looking to acquire futures, or at least looking to keep futures so much as do what they've done in examples like the Philip Hronek trade and Marcus Pettersson trade, where we got assets from one trade and flipped them for players now. And this becomes relevant talking about the second update from an insider I want to get into, where Rick Dhaliwal the other day says that from what he's heard, the general sentiment in the building is that if Quinn Hughes doesn't give the team any kind of indication that he's willing to commit long-term, they prefer to trade him this season. That would be the preferred option, which seems like a very interesting report, especially given that we heard Jim Rutherford say he doesn't believe in a rebuild for this team. So I would be very interested to see when that happens, if it even happens, where he goes, first of all, what kind of assets we're bringing back, and then what happens to those assets. Because on the one hand, I would love to see us get picks and prospects in and try to load up on picks in this upcoming draft with how stacked the class is. On the other hand, I have a distinct feeling if we do get him, we're going to end up using the Quinn Hughes trade to go acquire Pavel Zacha or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't
What do
be
you think?
surprised. I don't know. I I don't really have a thought. My take is if Quinn Hughes is focused more on being healthy for Team USA than playing for the team he friggin' captains, then honestly, get out of here. Henrik missed the 2014 Olympics, and honestly, I'm tired of Americans being on my team. Like, that only ever worked out bad. We need another Swedish captain. I think that it should be Linus Karlsson. Yeah, my brain hasn't caught up today yet, so this is why I'm talking like this. But yeah, Quinn Hughes, like, you can't force a guy to be here, but also, like, I get it, he's scoring a bunch of points. But okay.
Because you have to think too, if we were to trade him right now, it would immediately obviously be one of the biggest trades in franchise history.
Yep.
But you have to wonder, again, like, what are we getting for him? Because I don't like a
I
lot of
don't
teams.
believe in this
If
team.
a lot of teams, if they were in this position and they were to be trading a player like Quinn Hughes, okay, the thought is once we make that trade, that signals we're rebuilding now. With this front office, and I mean, that really should be the move here. It feels like if you don't have that kind of player on your team, you're going to be hopeless no matter what. But if we take this front office who doesn't want to rebuild or isn't being allowed to rebuild or whatever the truth may be in that situation, what are they going to do? Because that's, to me, feels like a pretty unheard of deal.
I had no addition to that, really. I think you kind of hit the nail on the tail. Um, I I am just so sick and tired of hearing about the Vancouver Canucks not doing anything, really, ever. So, I don't know.
Yeah, and I worry about that with Sherwood, too, because I felt like last deadline, there were some guys we should have parted with, namely Pius Suter, who we just didn't and lost for free. And when they said we're not making an inclination towards signing Sherwood, part of me wonders if they're just going to let him go for free at the end, and that's definitely a worrying thought with a player like Sherwood, who at the deadline, especially if you were to retain some salary, teams would be jumping at that.
Yeah, that or he'll be added to the list of Canucks players that were let go in free agency for absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
A la Pius Suter, a la Tyler Toffoli, a la Jacob Markstrom, a la Chris Tanev, a la... There's so... Okay. There's so many... I literally made one of those, like, Harambe-style memes last season with Pius Suter, and there were so many guys in there.
Yeah.
Like, it's honestly ridiculous. But that's just how Canucks management works.
Pretty much.
Canucks management is kind of like the people who keep buying new iPhones even though their phone works perfectly fine. That's the type of people they are. In my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that.
I
was just thinking consumerism.
Yeah. The final update we're going to talk about here, coming from Rick Dollywall once again, is that Lukas Reichel has been made available for trade. What?
Okay.
So Reichel, in his, I believe, 13 games as Canuck, has registered either just 1 or 2 points and is yet to score. However, first of all, it's been like 13 games. Second of all, his value right now is going to be Definitely not the
Low.
4th round pick we got for him. It might even be future considerations at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Third of all, have we considered, before trading the guy we just got, who is young with upside, trying him in a different role? Maybe not forcing him to be the 2C when he is clearly better on the wings?
No, because why would the Canucks do anything that works?
Why would we not throw him out there with Pettersson?
Daniel Sprong core. This is
Put him
what I'm getting.
Why would we not, for example, give a shot to a Reichel, Pettersson, Garland line? Is there no thought where that could work?
Reichel on the wing. Reichel on the wing. Yeah, it could work. Are they going to do that, though?
No.
No. Because why would anything work?
Yeah, and one of the things I have kind of liked about this front office, which is getting to be a shorter and shorter list as time goes on, but one of the things that I have liked is a willingness to say, okay, this didn't work, and move off of players who weren't working out rather than trying to force the issue.
Remember when Benning got fired?
This feels like massive overcorrecting for that.
Yeah.
Because it feels like generally there have been some bad moves where they will part with the guy. This feels like they've taken it way too far to that extent. It's alright, doesn't work. He hasn't played 20 games.
Yeah, like at least hit the Leo DiCaprio limit with 25 and then assess. Yeah. Remember when Jim Benning got fired and we thought it was over?
Yeah. And okay, I want to say too, I do think this front office has definitely been an improvement from the Jim Benning era. Because in my opinion, we're equally directionless, but at least a lot of the transactions themselves have been better.
Okay.
The lack of direction is still there, and I do think that's not necessarily coming from either of the front offices, but from the top to them. But it feels like the directionless moves and the drafting have improved. To the point where if you got something better coming from the top, there is a way forward with what we have. Whereas with Benning, it was just like, oh, okay, we are completely screwed. There's nothing you can... You don't need a general manager to fix this. You need a magician.
You need a preacher. I was saying priest, and then it turned into something else. Anyway. You need Jesus, is what we're saying.
Yeah, divine intervention.
Divine intervention.
Yeah.
Become Hobby Lobby and determine in the Supreme Court of the United States that businesses do have religious beliefs, because that's a thing. Anyway, there's another interesting story about Hobby Lobby, but I don't think you'd like me mentioning it on the podcast, so I will talk about it after. Sure. Anyway.
Believe you wanted to talk about one of these transactions that the front office has made, to some extent.
I did.
In the doc here it says, we traded the right guy.
Oh, okay, yeah. Miller fans. Thank you. Listen. Was I suspect of that whole thing? A little. But also, have you seen the New York Rangers? Yeah, the Canucks are bad, but at least we can backcheck and defend and Elias Pettersson can defend and score points and not be a nuisance. That's all.
And then switching gears a little bit, I don't think we have any more Canucks topics for you to talk about, but talk about some other hockey team. Talk about some other hockey in Vancouver. Big day right now for Vancouver hockey, at least at time of recording. Hopefully I can get this up today. Vancouver Goldeneyes inaugural game, home opener tonight at Pacific Coliseum against the Seattle Torrent. This is a big moment for Vancouver hockey.
Yep. It's the first hockey of any kind, really, at the Pacific Coliseum, like an actual team. Actually, I don't even know if the World Juniors, when it was held in Vancouver.
No, I think they just used Rogers and Victoria.
Yeah. I know they use Langley Event Center, too, for, like, practices and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like, other games, because there's a video of Quinn Hughes with a Langley Event Center thing behind him, and I'm like, oh, okay. I guess because the Giants play there now. But yeah, the Pacific Coliseum has not had a hockey team in many years. It's great to see. I'm so happy to see a women's hockey team getting the being the sole tenant of their building, and an amazing a friend of mine, voice of the Cowichan Capitals, Joey Pitt, said that it was Vancouver's hockey cathedral, and I think that is true. Of the building, it's historic, it's beautiful, it's unique. The Pacific Coliseum is probably the best venue in Vancouver. I will say that. So I hope the 16,000 plus in there tonight have a great time, because it's going to be a good game. New rivalry between Vancouver and Seattle brewing. So yeah, and follow along with the Vancouver Goldeneyes team for the hockey news if you want to check that out. It's going to be myself, Nicoletta Panos, and Izzy Chung, so check that out. We're really excited to get started.
Yeah. And yeah, like you mentioned, 16,000 plus, they have sold out the crowd for their first ever game. Fantastic achievement. And again, like you mentioned, they are, I believe, the only PWHL team who are the primary tenant in their building. So that's fantastic to see.
And also, I will say, I had a thought. Oh, okay. They sold out. I think it's going to be the highest attendance for like a home game at their home building in the PWHL history. Not counting like obviously Takeover Tour.
Like Takeover Tour. Yeah.
Yeah, but my other comment about the Takeover Tour was that sold out Rogers Arena. There were more tickets sold. There were more people in attendance at Rogers Arena for the PWHL Takeover Tour than what I believe there was for any Canucks game last season. Because I did the math. After the Takeover Tour game, I went through every single Canucks game and checked the attendance at home for Rogers Arena, and the last one that had surpassed that was, I believe, Game 5 against Edmonton.
Wow.
The previous season. So, yeah, we're excited. Vancouver is excited for women's hockey. It's a great time.
And just one of the benefits of being the primary tenant is they get their logo at center ice, and this logo was just like tailor-made to be at center ice of an arena. It just looks fantastic there.
Yeah, it's not oddly proportioned like the Canucks one was last year. Oh, that bugged me so much. It bugged me so much. That was apparently
like a direction from the league that they wanted teams to like fill the center ice circle with something, but that was just like, why are we being so nitpicky about it? It looked wrong.
There's a lot of directions from the NHL that I have thoughts about, but yeah. It says something that Gary Bettman has outlasted my parents' entire relationship as NHL commissioner, and still has a job. So there's that. When Gary Bettman was commissioner, Yugoslavia was still in the process of breaking up. When Gary Bettman became commissioner, Taylor Swift was 4 years old. Sidney Crosby was 6.
When Gary Bettman was commissioner, Fernando Alonso was a rookie in F1.
When Gary Bettman was commissioner, most of the current F1 drivers were not born. When Gary Bettman became commissioner, I think most of the NHL captains were not born. It's probably Landeskog, Crosby, Ovi. Who else is old? Backlund.
Yep, he's Unk.
McDavid wasn't born yet. He's 97.
He's 97?
Yeah.
Looks quite good for his age. On that terrible joke, let's move on to our next topic. Oh, and Kaja's gone. Oh, there we go. Let's keep the theme on women's sports for now. Let's talk about moving away from hockey.
Yep. The Vancouver Rise are the first ever winners of the Diana Matheson Trophy for the NSL. It was very good to see. They were down early against Toronto. They're playing in Toronto, which the league does the same thing that like the Grey Cup and the NFL does for the Super Bowl with like the not decentralized. Is that the right way to predetermined? Thank you. They choose the location before and everything. But yeah, it was predetermined as BMO Field, which a choice, but okay. I guess because it's grass, that makes sense. I do think BC Place would have been better, but that's just me.
I guess though, since we got the opening game too, it's split it up a little bit.
There's that. And then also they didn't know the Whitecaps schedule. Then again, they didn't know the Whitecaps were going to be good, so there's that. Neither did the Whitecaps. They were down 1-0. It was a scary moment in around the 40th minute. It was around the 37th when there was a rain delay. And we were like, okay, I was at a Rise watch party. I actually won a Rise bag. It's in the living room. I don't have it with me. But I have a little Rise tote bag and everything. I love it. Great atmosphere. The reception for the team at the Hollywood Theater 2 nights ago was packed, was sold out within like a few hours, so that's great to see. Yeah, it's on the rise. They scored. I forgot. So there was a lightning delay. That's what the rain delay was. I was just like, okay, well, it's just a bunch of rain, like, and we're all making jokes and stuff about it at
it doesn't
at
rain
the bar.
In Toronto. Go ahead.
No, we were just like, oh yeah, they're used to it. It's Vancouver, like, suck it up. And then we see on the board it says lightning delay, and we're like, that makes more sense. That makes more sense.
I'll allow it.
Yeah. Anyway, goes back into the game. You know what I mean. Do you know what I mean?
Football.
Play is resumed. And a few minutes after that, Vancouver, one of their stars, midfielder Quinn, gets injured. 36th minute. That's what it was. So they go down after a bit of a tangle up with one of the AFC Toronto players, and they're subbed off for Nikki Stanton. In the second half, Vancouver, one was a bit of an odd own goal. I think technically, if it was hockey, it would have been Stanton's goal, but because of how the AFC goaltender handled it, Sierra Cotillard, kind of juggled it into her net. So it was tied at 1. And then Holly Ward, just amazing, scores in the 67th minute to put Vancouver up 2-1. Absolutely insane game, insane atmosphere. They win the championship. They win the first ever NSL final. Honestly, it's amazing. A Vancouver team is good. What the heck?
Yeah. And just really hoping that can break the curse for some other Vancouver teams. One who I think is a little too far gone, but some other teams looking good Canucks. Some other teams looking pretty good right now who I think maybe could be in the coming weeks in one case, could be in the coming years for others who can hopefully get some success off of the Rise finally bringing some silverware back to the city.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of players that I forgot. Oh, wait, no. Boone Jenner might be the same age as Gary Bettman's tenure. Radko Gudas, he's old. Jordan Stahl, Nick Foligno, Jamie Benn. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Jamie
He's
Benn.
definitely old.
He is definitely old. No, not you. How old are you? Nope.
Jamie Benn, friend of the show through
Spurgeon.
Co-host Ryan Grivitz.
Spurgeon, older. Yossi, older. Anders Lee, older. JT Miller, about the same age. Sean Couturier, older. Oh, fellow Sagittarius. Eberle, from Saskatchewan. Braden
we
Shen.
missed the MacGuffin update.
Oh, MacGuffin update. Victor Hedman, also a Sagittarius. He's older. I'm gonna keep looking. Okay, Mark Stone, older. Adam Lowry, about the same age. Okay, Adam Lowry's American. That is disappointing. MacGuffin update. Current holders of the in-season Stanley Cup / MacGuffin, New York Islanders. Since the last time we talked about this, it was Philadelphia. They lost it after 4 days to the Ottawa Senators. 3 days later, Ottawa loses to Dallas. And then a week later, the Islanders beat Dallas. So, also the last 3 games that determined this were all 3-2 results. So that's interesting. Yeah, what else? The loser MacGuffin or loser cup is currently held by the New York Rangers. They lost to Detroit on the 16th. That was 5 days ago at the time of recording. It is still held by the Rangers. They took it away, or Detroit gave it to them after Detroit held it for a day. Longest holder so far. The last time we talked about this, Seattle had it over Washington. A day later, Buffalo took it away from Seattle and then held it for 9 days. So they're tied for the longest streak with Dallas. And the longest streak for the MacGuffin is tied between the Winnipeg Jets, Philadelphia Flyers, Montreal Canadiens, and Dallas Stars. The only team to have it twice is Philadelphia Flyers. No team has had the Loser Cup twice. And that's about it for the MacGuffin.
Nice. All right, and then not a whole lot else to talk about today, but we can talk about one more thing before we head out, I think, unless we think of anything else. Tomorrow at time of recording, huge game at BC Place. Vancouver Whitecaps FC in the Western Conference Final. Not Western Conference Final, Western Conference Semi-Final, rather. We'll be taking on LAFC. We've talked about this a little bit last week, but it's now officially a sellout crowd at BC Place for the Whitecaps game. It may have also been last week, and I already said that, but officially official now. Just as this gets closer and closer, I'm getting more and more excited about this game. I'm nervous as hell, too, just because of our history against LAFC, but this is going to be a huge game, and it feels different with the Caps team this year. We'll see how different it is on the field. Also, some updates coming from Jesper Sorensen. Does look as though Brian White and Tristan Blackman will both be available. Whether or not that means available to start, available off the bench, how healthy they are, we're not quite sure yet, but huge to have those guys ready. Daniel Rios likely will be missing the game as well, which makes White's ability to play all the more important. I still cannot believe what I've been seeing at BC Place this year, and I hope it continues tomorrow.
Yes. I hope it good. I don't have brain anymore.
Yeah, fair enough. anything else we need to get into for this week, or should we?
Nope. I don't have any other comments.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening to this week's episode. Check us out on social media at Nux Chronicles. Be sure to like and follow the show on wherever you get your podcasts. Really helps out when you do that. So thanks again for listening. This outro is getting away from me. Special thanks to Helmet Marco, and have a great rest of your week.